Good evening, everyone. So, this is a follow-up for the launch preparation we discussed last time on this Tuesday for the startup launch preparation modules, four modules which we discussed. So, we will quickly in this hour, we'll discuss and recapitulate all the four modules. So, let's start from the module one, which was particularly related to the revenue. So, earning revenue and why it is important. Let's go back to the case study which we discussed, which was of the Slack. Slack did not invent a new feature. They discovered where customers felt most pain. So that was something which we discussed in the last class of that, they find out the right customer segmentation and what was the USP which they people mostly relate to. What is the actual pain area? So message history access was their revenue model because that was missing. There were many chat models present at that time, but for any business, the chat is not something which is completely uh, solution. So what was needed was something which can provide a more holistic solution where if any record has to be searched or found, so that can be easily searched. So Slack gives that option to its users that they can select to what time that history of the message will be stored on the Slack server. People can go back up to 6 months or maybe a year back and search for those messages. For free accounts, that is something that's not possible, and the history is probably of 7 days only. So that was a critical feature which uh, created which acted as an important player in the revenue generation of Slack. So, how you have to, what you need to do is to do a live exercise at your end, and you can do it, later on whenever, or if anybody would like to do it right now, we can discuss that as well. But the revenue model exercise is something very important that, think about your idea and ask the main three questions again. Who is your customer? What pain do they have? And how will you charge? And the fourth one, which we should not forget, whether they are ready to pay for it today. So these are the questions which you should need to ask. And if you have answers to these, then definitely there is something which we should go forward to build upon. Any questions regarding this? Today somehow we have a very small sized meeting. I understand that, but definitely even then, if anyone would like to participate and ask questions, it will be really good. So I'm moving ahead to the next slide.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon. Good evening.
Sir, I'm Daksh, sir, and me and my co-founder are building 8. So basically, the thing which we are building comes under FMCG sector.
Uh-huh.
So basically, how should we decide the I think price of the product? Like, how should it correlate with the COGS of our product?
See, pricing is something which comes later on. First of all, here in the first model, what we are talking about is whether your product is sellable or not. Is there is a demand supply or not? So if you know who is your customer and if that solution what you're offering is the actual pain area.
Okay, sir.
So who
Uh,
is your customer?
Sir, basically, the segment that we are targeting are college students, young professionals. and
Mm-hmm.
corporate workers who usually make night shifts and perform under pressure.
Mm-hmm.
That's it,
Okay.
sir.
And so what is the pain area you are sorting for that?
The pain area is basically the lack of focus uh, that the customers are facing. Like they can't sustain their energy for longer hours, or I mean, thus sleeping issues that they are facing.
And what is the solution for that?
So basically, our solution is uh, traditionally they consume caffeine, like a lot of caffeine, like Red Bull,
Mm-hmm.
coffee, and other
Mm-hmm.
things like tea.
Mm-hmm.
But usually, caffeine, what caffeine do to your body is like it gives you a quick high, but
Mm-hmm.
it 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 also provides you a very sharp and steep crash, which we call which includes like jitters, anxiety, and like in simple language we call it a burnout, like due to
Mm-hmm.
caffeine.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, after reading journals and after trying ourselves, me and my co-founder, like for 1.5 year, so there is a compound like L-theanine. So when we combine it with caffeine in proper proportions, so it scientifically decreases the crashes that arise due to caffeine.
Okay. So have you discussed it with the, have you gone to customers, to people,
Yes,
whatsoever?
sir. So currently we have like 32 pre-registrations already. They have paid us 29 rupees. We have set a website for that, but we don't know how to price the thing. So like they have
You know the
pre-registered, but
cost of, but you know the cost of caffeine they are paying.
yes, sir. I know the cokes like the caffeine. So currently we are doing like natural caffeine. So in the form of coffee, in the form of pure robusta and arabica
Yeah,
coffee.
so on an average, see again, you are targeting a very vast market here. The people who are okay with 5 rupees tea are not the people who are okay with 100 rupees coffee. So caffeine, the quantity is different. Okay,
Yes, sir.
tea, tea and coffee are two different uh,
Yes, sir.
target areas. Okay, you cannot compare both of them. So if you are targeting a customer who is a caffeine ready customer,
Yes,
and
sir.
you want, so you basically your target is somebody who
Who
uh,
consumes
is,
energy drinks and coffee regularly?
yes, and that too on a high level. Okay,
Yes, sir.
so you need to think for from their perspective and understand what is the customer pocket and how much the other competition, what is their average spend out, and how much they are ready to pay. What is
Yes,
your
sir.
solution? Okay, so if they need a coffee like 3 times, is your solution the cost of your solution, your coffee is similar, cheaper, or maybe 1.x of what they're paying, and whether they are ready to pay 1.x or not.
Okay, sir.
So you need to again go back. See, pricing is something which will be determined based on the 9 elements which we studied earlier.
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay, it's not going to be based on the. So this is basically where this stage comes when you're ready. Okay, when you
Yes,
have
sir.
decided the pricing. When you have decided the pricing, then whether the customer is ready to pay that price or not, this is we are doing this exercise at this right now at this stage.
Okay,
At
sir.
this
Got it.
stage, we are okay. So that is something how you are going to price it. Again, we can see that the forecasting can give you an idea for that. Okay,
Yes, sir.
and we
Thank-
saw that how the runway has to be kept and how the CAC correlation is there.
Okay, sir.
Okay,
Thank you,
and
sir.
this particular slide is going to give you answers. Let's say you are selling uh, coffee or solution for 100x, but again, the coffee what is sold in India, and then there are people who take coffee in different modes. You can also take coffee as a black coffee, and how much you are ready and what is the kick. Is your solution able to give that particular kick or not? Okay, there's multiple questions. And is it a substitute? What you are producing will be similar to what if somebody's having a coffee, or you are mixing something in the coffee itself. So there are many questions which you need to ask. Okay, like I'm a very heavy coffee lover, and I need to take coffee on a regular basis, but I have a specific brands which I always go for. Okay,
Yes, sir.
so that is something which you need to be very, you need to do a lot of market study about it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then as potential customers, go to people, ask them how much they can pay, and probably can get your answers. And be specific to the target audience. You want to target only the people who are the top of the cream, middle of the cream, or bottom of the whole funnel.
Yes, sir.
Everybody has a different pocket for all the in the funnel. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So next is the module of financial forecasting, which we discussed, and the formula which we discussed last time was cash divided by burn minus revenue is equal to months left. Basically, the runway. So your runway is equal to burn rate divided, cash left divided by burn rate minus revenue. And this is very important that your runway should be between 18 to 24 months, which means that you always have the funds, the operability for at least 18 months so that you don't die out in the next 5, 6, or 8 months just because there is a shortage of funds. So design your forecast, you design your revenue forecast in a way that so that you have an idea that how much money will be required for next 18 to 24 months, uh, keeping in mind your burn rate and revenue in place, expected revenue. Okay. And always design three models as we last discussed. Des- Develop a pessimistic chart after forecasting, and a regular one and an optimized one. So I think the run for calculating runway is very much clear, right? If anyone has any question about it and what is runway, if anyone would like to question again or need to know, I can explain it. So this is a simple calculation that you started. Let's say you started with 50,000 and 35,000, and you are left with 30,000, and you are spending 5,000 every month. So in the second month, 5,000 already spent. In the second month, you are left with 30,000. Out of the 30,000, you know that 5,000 will again be spent, but you are only making a revenue of 1,000. And what is your runway? In this particular case, the runway is 30 divided by 4, so 7.5 months, right? Which is far below, which means that in 7.5 months, the funds are going to be finished. A simple exercise that you can do is estimate your burn rate, okay, which can be easily done by having an understanding of the key activities and key resources required to run your business, and estimate a first year revenue. If you cannot estimate a year-wise revenue, just estimate it month-wise and expect, forecast month-wise growth of the revenue in a pessimistic way, and then calculate your runway. Create a simple 12-month forecast, which can be done on the Google Sheet. Just write down all the key factors, key resources, key which you are going to where, and key activities for which you're going to spend money. Like it can be infrastructure, it can be your patenting, it can be technology, it can be human resources. Everything needs money. So you just need to write down everything and decide that how much money is going to be involved. Even if you are using a resource like, your own place or somebody's garage to work for do include the possible cost of rent you need to pay. Okay, because that is something which you don't know, but you probably have to shift anytime to a different place. So even if the resource is owned by you, do put the cost of the resource in the forecast sheet. Okay. The next module was raising capital, where we understood how are the what are the different ways of raising capital and when one should approach to raise capital, and what are the different people when it comes to the raising like equity, angel investors, and then your venture capital, then institutions. Okay, so let's have a question here where founder has $50,000 saved, zero customers, but the model is nice. The MVP is good. What should that person do? What should that founder should do? We should keep on doing the bootstrap, or we should raise the money. Everyone, who will vote for A and who will vote for B? How many yes for A? What should
Sorry.
we select? A. Anybody else? Anyone else? For A, for B?
This, this is subjective. Depends on the situation, depends on the product as well.
No. The everything is in front of you. It's a very simple thing. You can see here. The answer is here itself. It's not subjective, and I'll tell you why it's not. See, the answer is A because there is a zero customer, which means that even if it is a good MVP, the demand is not there. So when you go to raise money, the first thing you will be asked is why there are zero customers, and you cannot move to any kind of an investor without a customer. So any angel investor or anybody else like a VC will only come and give you customer means it doesn't matter that you are making revenue or not. See, revenue is different thing, but zero customer is a different thing. Or again, revenue which is less than your expectation or negative in the books is not something which troubles a VC or angel investor, because they are always there for the longer term until unless there is an exit plan by then. But if you see from the other side of it, the those zero customers flow, which means the MVP is good, but founder has good amount of money as well, $50,000, a decent number, but there are zero customers. So we should invest this money in first getting the traction of customers so that we can raise the value of the product. If we go to the market to raise capital without having any customer, we won't get a right negotiation done. Okay, and people will try to get more equity for less money. They'll say, okay, I can give you this much money, but I need more equity because your product is not valid because there are zero customers. So in this particular case, when the founder already has some amount saved and he can still go on with the MVP and use that money to bring in customers, he should keep doing bootstrap. Am I clear?
Yes.
So the winning move is bootstrap first. Why? Zero customers plus raised money is equal to burning cash and guessing. You raise the money, even you convince the angel investor, but what will happen? You'll try to get more customers, even if the money is going burning in ads and all, without actually understanding what is the problem. So, as I said, that first get customers with $50,000, whatever is the amount saved with the founder, prove the model works, then raise from position of strength. Raise from position of strength means because you will be having customers, you are in a better position to negotiate with any equity investor or angel investor. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So let's see a different scenario. Now, somebody has $100,000 raised, and then there's a burn of $12,000 per month, and 12-month runway is claimed. But actual burn is $12,000 per month. That's zero revenue. So what is the problem? Wrong burn rate calculation is happening here. Revenue won't start quickly enough. Both A and B, which
Both
means
A
the
and B.
runway is actually 8 months. So it's not, it's basically, yes, C, the hidden truth, both A and B. And because if the burn is $12,000 and revenue is zero, which means it comes out to 8.3 months, 100 divided by 12. Okay. If founder will not run out 4 months early, sorry, founder will run out 4 months early and panic fundraising incoming, which means that he doesn't have funds for uh, even an year. Okay. So see, this is the reason why you need to understand the burn rate. You should not underestimate the burn rate, and you should always have a reverse calculation where the runway is always estimated and should be at least 18 months. Because 18 months on an average is seen as a time where, where the startups are good enough, and they are, if you can survive a startup for 18 months, you have fair enough chances of, you know, launching a product, getting some customers, and then going to another angel investor. So you can think it from three different perspectives. So you can take a decision based on understanding if whether you are getting uh, profitability, you are getting customers in bootstrapping itself. Okay. So if yes, then keep on doing bootstrapping because then you don't need to raise funds because bootstrapping will keep the complete command of your product within your hands, your revenues, your benefits, your uh, all the profits will be for you. So you're not going to share them. It will only between you and your co-founders will be taking benefit out of it. So the second question is in case the above is not happening, in case the bootstrapping is not happening, then and you have to go to you need money. Then how much to raise? In that case, do a reverse calculation and found out the burn rate. Or if you know the burn rate is something which probably you will know. So as we have seen the formula, that how much cash will be required can be easily calculated by the burn rate, if you know the burn rate and if you know the runway. So the cash required divided by the burn rate minus revenue is equal to the runway. So cash required will be equal to 18 months, which is the minimum runway we are taking. 18 multiplied by your 18 multiplied by the burn rate minus revenue. Okay, so that will be the cash will be the money you will require to raise on any particular day for next 18 months. And the third decision is for whom. So if you're bootstrapping, then of course friends, family comes first, and there's no equity dilution is happening. But if that is not happening, then and the product is still under has not taken in a large uh, rise in terms of the customers and all, then you can go to the investors where you can think of getting some good amount of funding but you will also need to share a high equity value as well. So ideally, bootstrapping is something which I would recommend, uh, and not going for angel investors till the time you are ready enough to go to a direct, level ABC funding round A, which is somewhere around 5 lakh dollars to 10 lakh dollars is required at least. And for that, the product or the startup should be in a decent stage where the model is MVP is quite evaluated with paying customers. So the last module was the managing growth, where we know that if you have to scale good enough, like 10 times, 20 times, what should be uh, the things you need to keep in mind. So scale broken models to catastrophic failure. So there are two different models. WeWork can grow up to 10x, Theranos can grow to 100x. Now it depends upon the lot of factors, and one of the factors is the industry as well. That one particular industry has an option to grow, so there's a market to grow, and that market gives you an option that you can grow up to 100x or 1000x. But in particular s- type of industries, you cannot grow more than 10x or 5x because of the kind of market it is and the kind of industry it is. But you need to grow with profit. If you are losing money on regular basis, then even then you are scaling, then it's a death machine. And how you can calculate whether you are doing your economics right or not. So the cost of acquisition, what you have. So if you are trying to scale the model, so you have a model which is running fine with few customers, you are making some money, but whether it is a right time to scale or not can be easily defined if the LTV is greater than or equal to 3x of CSU or not. Ideally, the lifetime value of a customer which you are creating should be 3 times of 10 of the customer acquisition cost. So there's an example here that if the CAC is $100 and then LTV must be $300. And if your LTV is coming to be $200 only, then you will end up losing $100 per customer scaled up. So this is a simple mathematics. You don't need to go into a very complex uh, calculations. You can easily understand this and utilize it for the cost analytics and when you have to grow and you have to scale up your business. Any questions here? Anything you want to ask? Anyone want to understand what is CAC, LTV? So what is, do you know your CSC and LTV, which definitely is something very important to understand. And this may not happen in 1 or 2 days. If you have a running business, uh, you can understand this uh, probably in a month or 2 months or 3 months. Sometimes it takes more than that as well. But it is important that whenever you believe that your business is something which you need to, which is ready for scaling up, you need funds for that. Before that, you need to ask several questions to yourself. In fact, you also should know that whether the CSC and LTV you are claiming you are achieving today is good enough for scaling up or not. Because if you just focus on scaling up and your economics is not right, then you will end up losing money instead of making money. So stage one is to have a product market fit. You know, before we talk about any funding, anything like that, the stage one is product market fit. Get first 100 customers manually. Perfect the product. You know, let the customers run that product for some time, take the feedbacks, optimize the product solution so that you create a community of happy customers. The stage two comes in to optimize. When you need to, now you have a community of happy customers where people love your product. What you need to do is you need to calculate your CAC and LTV ratio. And if the ratio is less than 3, then not this particular ratio. I mean, if your number is your LTV is less than 3 times of your CAC, then you need to correct it. You need to optimize it so that it may come to 2.5. And you probably have to work on the costing, the pricing, what you are offering to your customers, so that your LTV is at least 3 times of your CAC. The third is scaling, where you pour fuel and proven model higher aggressively. This is something which is obvious because if you're making good enough amount of LTVs, your LTV is more than 3, 4, 5x of your CAC, which means that you're in a business which is good enough. The segment is your industry segment has that scope that you can grow to 10x, 100x, and you have a product market fit where you have customers who are already paying you. If all of these stages are clear, then of course the scaling is something which you can do. You can take money, go to venture capital, VCs, and ask for money and do whatever you want. So if you're a startup and we're going to launch, what you need to do is first we talk to 10 customers, get the feedback on your revenue model. And this is non-negotiable because if you do not work out on with the 10 customers, you won't probably be able to understand whether your product can become a right market, can get any customer even or not, or can become a right market fit or not. So talking to actual customers is very important without any biasing involved. Because you think that your product is good, but there can be 10 more aspects of it which people have in mind when they uh, are, when you go to them and ask them whether they are ready to pay for that or not. So there is something which you need to clear before you start. Then second week, or we are talking this in terms of week, but this can be months as well. Okay, depending upon how uh, what speed you guys progress with. So the second stage is to build your forecast. You develop. So if you have talked to 10 customers, you have at least one customer who is ready to pay as well. Then it is a time to build your forecast, to develop, to write down the numbers, to understand that particular segmentation, to develop the uh, USPs for it, to find out the channels through which you will deliver your product or services, to to reverse engineer your key resources, the activities which needs to be done to generate and to maintain your product or service, the resources which will be required for that. Okay. So and then the cost structure for that. And based on the cost structure, you need to also see what can be the LTV so that you can find out the right pricing model as well. All of this is part of the forecasting. Now, the third point is to start with the first payment. So that is, of course, uh, actual real customers mean everything. Without that, you cannot go ahead in the business. So the third part is getting your customers on board. And the fourth thing is calculating CAC LTV in terms of whether you are ready for scaling up or not. So make sure initially you probably have to see when you're new to the market, you have to negotiate on a lot of things on the pricing model as well. But ultimately, you can only scale up and you should scale up when your basic numbers are right. Uh, not one should not scale up by discounting on the price because that will create losses for the company on the large scale. So that's what the idea of LTV and CSC was. Any questions? So these are few pitfalls which can happen in case if you don't do this process in a proper way. So if you are not validating your revenue model, if you're not going and talking to your customers, the real customers, and you should be very much clear when I'm saying about real customer, because real customer you cannot generally in general define, okay, that anyone who's working in the night is my real customer. No, it cannot be a generic thing like that. It has to be specific because your customer, you may have, in case if that is a thing, then you will have to define different segmentation in that category as well. Okay. So who is the real customer? Validate your model based on that. Talk to them. You will give you certain feedbacks, certain things which will help you in understanding whether a product is actually sellable or not. You may have to change the idea. You may have to improvise things further. Okay. Then comes is the wrong forecasting. Surprised by runway. So if you're forecasting and you are not checking what is the runway, then it will be a difficult thing. So once the forecasting is done, you should check what is the runway which is coming up, and your forecasting should be hand in hand with a runway of at least 18 months. So your forecasting should be planned in a way, should be uh, near about 18 months if the runway is calculated. The wrong capital decision, which means that, when if you are making money or if you have customers, then don't be in hurry to just go for funding. Bootstrapping is one of the best ways to, and most of the biggest businesses are bootstrap businesses. So until unless your business has the right number of customers, the MVP is properly solid and demand is there, don't go for raising money. Until only in case when you know that there is something there is a potential in the business and you are very much dying to run for it, but still, and your pockets are out. Even in that case, I suggest that go and take help from the family and friends instead of going to an angel investor. And the third part is unit economics, which again, as I said, that your CAC and LTV ratios should be right. Because without that, you are scaling up, then your complete economics will fail. And you take a large amount of money. You may probably get a lot of customers, but the revenue ultimately will not be in sync with the expenses. So this is it. Now you know what separate winners from everyone else, and what you need to do is to execute the whole plan properly. So any questions, team? Anyone? Any questions? Anything that you want to ask?
Students, please feel free to ask if you have any queries or concern about your project. Surprisingly, no one has any further question there.
See, guys, this is something you can only execute and learn. So the main part, I totally understand that probably there can be hundreds of questions today and even more questions. So which is okay and totally understandable. But the idea is that the last exercise which we did for business model canvas, and even this one where all the four modules have been discussed, getting ready for the startup launch. These are very, very essential exercises. And believe me, I don't know, probably if you guys don't know, uh, I have done this course from the bottom as an online certification is there. And the content matter and all has been taken from the rest of the business schools from the world. So please do understand that uh, these information and these tips are coming from some of the very senior professors and some of the best minds in the world. So you should seriously take and ask these things. All of these exercises are coming uh, from a quite of research done at my end. So you can definitely take use of it, and that will be highly beneficial for you. I hope, Sarika, we can conclude the day.
Yes, I. Yeah. Okay, then I think we should finish the session, today's session, because they don't have any further questions. Also,
Okay.
students, I want to remind you all to book the mentoring session. I hope you have received the communication regarding that. You must have, each team must have booked at least 5 hours of sessions during this January only. And please go to the portal, book available mentor section session according to your requirement and everything. But please make sure you have to book this at least 5 hours of sessions each team. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Mr. Goyal. Thank you, students.
Thank you, Sarika.
Thank you,